Keith, good to see you. We've had the international break. There are quite a few players away with their countries. How has that been the last couple of weeks? And are there any fitness concerns from those players coming back?
No, touch wood, everybody's come back in a good place. They're always slightly tricky to get through, depending on who's away. I think it's testament to the players that were here. We had good numbers here still, even though we had quite a large number away, whether it was 21s football or senior football. That the players and the culture of the club is that they get a little bit of time off naturally, which they deserve because they work really hard. I think that downtime is important for the players that aren't involved with national teams. But equally, when we come back, there's an expectancy that they train hard and work at their game. I think it's an invaluable period where if players really focus on that aspect of specific actions of their games. And we've really looked at that over the last 10 days, 2 weeks while the boys have been away with their respective countries.
Kareem Kelleher and Nathan Collins had a couple of disappointing results with Ireland during their time away, drawing with Hungary and losing to Armenia. Have you had to pick them up at all since they've been back? And as an Irishman yourself, do you share that disappointment?
Obviously disappointed to lose games, and I'm very well placed to speak about the expectations of the country. Obviously I played for my national team and was the assistant manager for a decent number of years, so I felt it naturally. Ireland was the team that I supported growing up. It was the one team that I wanted to play for. I'm very, very patriotic, so yeah, I felt it for them. I think again, going back to our environment that we create, I think after that natural disappointment, then what I said to the players yesterday was, naturally there's different types of emotions coming back into the room. Some players have played and won handsomely and look like they're going to qualify for the World Cup, which is an amazing achievement for them individually. And then we have players that come back naturally a little bit disappointed, but players quickly get back onto the club page, and that's what we've tried to do over the last 24 hours or so.
This is the first time we've seen you since the transfer window closed, and obviously Johan Wissa made his move to Newcastle. It happened very late on deadline day. You had said previously that you expected him to stay at the club. Are you surprised that move went through in the end?
Understanding of it, I would say, more than anything. I think when we spoke previously about it all along, I expected Johan to stay. I think up until the very last press conference before we played Sunderland, it was nowhere near a move. And that's pretty much where I was, and wanted Johan to stay. Didn't really want to lose that amount of goals out of the building. But equally, I'm very understanding of the way this club works, and the medium to long-term future of the club is very, very important.
REISS came in. He's somewhat of a replacement in your front line. Can you tell us a little bit about him? And will he be involved this weekend?
Yeah, REISS will be involved. He's a very talented young man who's been around for a good few years, played decent games at Arsenal, loan moves abroad, at Fulham last year. And I think what he does is he gives us the type of player maybe that we don't really have on that side of the pitch, a dribbler, technically very good. And I think he complements what we have with the likes of Kevin Schade, Thiago, Fabio, Damsgaard, Dango, etc. That he will, and already has, slotted in seamlessly to the group in terms of his personality, but definitely that skill set that I think we probably needed a little bit of.
Thiago has shown his potential with 3 goals in 4 games. How good can he be? Is he that replacement?
I'm not really looking to replace anybody, to be honest. It's always about the players that are here. I think what this club has showed over numerous years is players will leave naturally. I think that's just the way of the world. And then what happens is there's an undercurrent of players in the building, already in the building, not necessarily the ones that you bring in. Thiago was obviously brought in 12 months ago. Had the misfortune of being injured for much of last season. He's the type of player that can really shine, and once he gets a rhythm in his game, and like anybody that's been out for a long period of time, it takes you a little bit of time. I think he's done amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think what we have in those attacking areas, players that I've just mentioned, I genuinely feel there's real potency. And just because these players haven't showcased it regularly yet, that doesn't mean it won't come in the coming weeks and months.
Just lastly, will Thiago be your designated penalty taker now? He obviously scored against Forest on the opening day of the season. Kevin Schade missed against Sunderland. Where does that leave things when the next one comes around?
Yeah, it leads things very much. Who's on the pitch and who I feel on that day will take the penalty.
So your decision?
Yeah, my decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah.
In terms of the international break, you said that you had a chance to look at specific actions of your players' games. How did you reflect on those opening 3 games as a Brentford manager?
Yeah, 4 games, including the cup.
Or Premier League games?
Yeah, where we're at as a group, I think the window plays a part in that, a little bit of uncertainty. I don't think it's ideal for any manager. It certainly wasn't ideal for me. That settles, and I think what I'm big into, and my background, I suppose, as a coach is player development, and I really like to do that. I still think you can do that within a team game and within the context of a training week. When I look at the games, I think it gives us a fair reflection of probably where we're at as a group. I think naturally everybody knows there's been a lot of change at the football club, whether that's staff, playing side of things as well, and with that comes a little bit of, you know, areas where we know we need to get better. I think what's been a constant has been, and I'm not surprised by this because I know the players inside out from being here for the last 15 months or so, there's an attitude of wanting to get better, of wanting to achieve, of hunger, and I think that's a really important aspect for any athlete, that you have to be hungry to achieve things. If you achieve things collectively, for me, you achieve things as an individual, and I think that's the basis of what this club has been built on in recent years, and I like that. So have the last few games been perfect? No, of course not. But I'm really happy with a lot of what we've achieved behind the scenes, and certainly for large parts of the games.
You spoke about the change in personnel there, but someone who is still here is Mikel Damsgaard. He's one of the Premier League's most creative players. I believe it's 10 assists at the start of last season. How do you continue to get more from him and also to help add to the goals that you've got new players in the team to try and get?
Yeah, he's a special talent, Mikel. I think he showcased that with Denmark again, and I think he's taking on a more prominent role for them in their quest to get to the World Cup next year. He's integral to us. He has attributes that are so unique, so special. He's got a big heart. He wants to be selfless in terms of how we do things. He's very understanding of the steps that we need to take now as a team, and I think for him, I've put him into the leadership group because I firmly believe that's where he belongs. He leads by example. He leads in a very different way. Traditionally, players would scream and shout. It's not Mikel. It's probably not the modern player, to be honest, but he's a very, very important player for us, and he will continue to add assists, and what I want him to add this season is a few more goals.
Can I get confirmation of that leadership group then?
Of who's in it?
Yes.
No.
No?
No, Mikel's in it.
Behind closed doors, but we just know Mikel's in it.
Mikel's in it.
In terms of other things you may have worked on during the international break, I imagine defending from set pieces, especially coming up against Chelsea, who've scored the most goals from corners. How do you keep them at bay, and in particular their Brazilian, who's also doing well? Yeah,
I think that's probably a constant for us in terms of the approach around set pieces, whether that's defending or attacking. And like I alluded to before, the specific actions and the specific requirements of each player that we have, what do we work on? So some of the centre-halves that have been here during the break, the likes of Ethan Pinnock, Sepp van den Berg, working on that, not just defensively, but also in an attacking sense. But Chelsea obviously will carry a threat tomorrow, well aware of that, and we'll hopefully be prepared enough to deal with that.
They have a lot of firepower, new additions as well. What are you expecting from the game?
A difficult game, really difficult game. Naturally, they've got talented players in their squad, numerous options, played in a pretty similar way for a large period of time now. Difficult to deal with. We're aware of the strengths that they have both individually and tactically in terms of what they try to do. And naturally we'll try to nullify that and make it a game that we want to play and not them.
Thank you, best of luck.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Who'd like to go next? Jack. Okay.
Hey, Jack.
So before I begin, Chris is probably very familiar with this. So when Thomas Frank was in charge, from time to time I'd sometimes write in a stat or a fact that I come.
I am aware.
You're aware? Oh, it's always good to know. So I just wanted to start off with one that I found a couple of weeks ago, mine, but I'm interested to get your viewpoint on it. So last season, it took 31 games across 6 matches to get back-to-back clean sheets. Under you, it's taken 2 weeks and 3 games. What's your secret?
It's certainly not my secret. I won't be hiding anything. It's something that I've wanted to focus on. I think they're really important. I think naturally it doesn't take a genius to realise that we've lost a few goals from the team, and the other end is very, very important. I think I've wanted the team to play with an edge, with a competitive edge. Throughout pre-season, we've really focused on that competition, whether it's off the pitch, in the hotel when we're on pre-season camp, whether it's playing darts, table tennis, there's been that constant competition. Don't know many athletes that like losing, so we've kind of created that environment of don't be on the losing team, keeping the ball out of the back of the net. Again, for me, very simple. It's always been the way. I think it always will be the way. If you keep clean sheets, you've got a good chance of winning games. So it has been a focus throughout. We've worked well, I think, as a defensive unit. Whether that's been a back four or a back five, the principles don't really change for me. But that's a nice stat, so thank you.
I just wanted to hone on one player that's a key part of keeping clean sheets, and that's Kelleher. I'm not sure if this is a topic that's already been discussed in the previous weeks, but over the international break, he opened up to the media for the first time about how losing Diogo Jota has impacted him. First and foremost, I just wanted to ask how he's doing.
Yeah, Caoimhin's doing pretty well. He's someone that I've known for numerous years. I coached him on 21 level with the national team and then gave him his cap for the senior team with Stephen Kenny. So I've known Caoimhin a long, long time. And Caoimhin actually signed when I wasn't the head coach, but it was a player that I gave absolute full backing to. And equally, on the flip side of that, from the club's perspective, I advised him, I think this will be a really good environment for you to come into. So naturally, I think with players, when they come to new clubs, there's always that challenge of how you settle. He's only been at one club previously, at Liverpool. And then when something like that happens, I think it goes back to the way I try to treat players. It's as people first. And I think you have to have that connection and that relationship with players to understand them, to basically try and help them, because life isn't easy at times. We had a few scenarios through pre-season that tested the group on a human level, on a personal level. It goes back to supporting that person, and that's something that we've continued to do with Caoimhin and all the players and staff, for that matter, throughout whatever they're going through. So Caoimhin settled really well at the club. I'm really, really happy with him, and he had 2 really good performances during the international break.
I just wanted to ask, is there a certain protocol that the club adheres to in this situation? Because to be honest, it's a very rare situation for the club to have to deal with, particularly when dealing with a new player. Yeah,
just being delicate and just communicating with the individual as to how they're feeling, naturally, like you would do as a decent person. And I think we've got a lot of decent people in the building that try to be compassionate and empathetic and understanding of people's individual circumstances. So I think Caoimhin feels that. And he knows he has that level of support from not just me, but from everybody running the club.
You mentioned the 2 performances during the international break. You got man the match against Hungary and then made numerous saves against Armenia. You will no doubt be disappointed about the 95th minute goal against Sunderland. Any goalkeeper would, when it just squirms just underneath it. How do you feel like those performances are going to set a foundation for him to not only play better against Chelsea, but to build on from there?
Yeah, I've got 0 concerns about Caoimhin. He's a top goalkeeper. Like I said, I was very, very confident of him being the keeper to come in and take over that number 1 shirt. He was ready for it. He's been ready for a long time, in my opinion, but I was very understanding, even when I was with the national team, of his situation at Liverpool. Very difficult to leave a club like Liverpool, but he's got to that age, obviously, naturally, over the last year or 2, where he's craved being that number 1. He's absolutely deserved it. And he's, like I said, he's settled really well into our environment and will be a big player for us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Firstly, your first West London derby as a head coach, wondering what your experiences were on it last year, being involved in it, and yeah, how much you're looking forward to it, especially at home under the lights.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Naturally, the break gives you that time to reflect, fine-tune a few things hope everybody comes back in good nick, and then you're able to pick the team that you want to pick. And I think it's a good challenge for us. I think it's one we should embrace. Naturally, there'll be a narrative around the game that we're little Brentford, and they're Chelsea, and I quite like that. I think it suits us. I think it suits where we are and the steps we need to take to where we're going to get to, but equally very understanding that it's going to be a difficult game. Lots and lots of talented individuals that we need to nullify, and then we need to make it the type of game that suits us ultimately. But from last year and the experience I had in around these games, whoever it was in terms of those derbies, I've always liked derby fields and derby games, and we're certainly looking forward to it as a club.
And then I want to ask about Coyote, won Player of the Month for August. How impressed have you been with this start to the season?
Very impressed. I think we've got real competition for places in those areas of the pitch, with Aaron Hickey and Rico Henry making their way back and playing very well. Aaron's obviously gone away with Scotland and gotten valuable minutes, and really poignant moment for him after being not available for such a large period of time. So to play for his national team was really good for him. Michael's a very unique individual. He really blew everybody away with his personality when he signed. Just such an infectious character and such a desire to be as good as he can be on a daily basis. So I'm not particularly surprised, if I'm honest. He takes on every challenge, every nugget of information you give to him, he wants to take on board and try and implement in his game. So not surprised in the slightest. He's been really good.
So I want to ask about his long throws. I saw you talking about Rory Delap's throws in a piece of content with Sky recently. I mean, how important is his ability to launch it into the box? And obviously you're big on set pieces naturally, but how important is that to your strategy?
Yeah, obviously last year I was set piece coach, so when I did some due diligence on who we were potentially going to sign as in that position, naturally I was quite excited for what he would bring. And I think I told the story about when I was a player and we played against Stoke, and when we faced Rory Delap's long throw, it was never pleasant, trust me. So with Michael, obviously we have an invaluable tool that really does cause chaos for the opposition. And I've said on numerous occasions before, I said to the players a lot, I quite like the chaotic nature of games. I think it suits us. So yeah, we'll continue to use that.
And then just one more question on long throws. I mean, there's been lots of data recently on more and more teams in the Premier League using them, especially this season compared to last year, even big jump. I was wondering why you think that is, and do you think maybe they were seen as a bit unfashionable, maybe 10 years ago, say, whereas people are getting into the box?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a snobbery in the game, for sure. Around some teams don't need it. I think if you have it at your disposal, especially with the level that we can get with it, it would be very silly not to use it. And I think what happens traditionally in the game is, naturally when one of the big teams start using it, it trickles down the football ladder, and then it becomes nearly acceptable. Our club has always done things in a slightly different way. We don't need the seal of approval from other clubs and people outside of this building. But it's certainly become a little bit more common in the game, you're right, over the last few months. I noticed it probably the last 5-10 games of last season around Europe, really, in Champions League games, it was getting used, and I felt it would be a knock-on effect going into this season. That's certainly proved the case. Thank you.
Anything, Ben?
Hey.
You've got your first game against kind of the traditional Big Six coming up. On a personal note, how are you feeling about it? Are you nervous? Are you excited? It's kind of your first time in the limelight. How are you just on a personal level feeling?
Pretty similar to the way I was going into any other game. It's a game that we've done the exact same type of preparation for. The only difference has been the players have been away on international duty, so I think naturally, like I've alluded to, that break gives you a little bit of a chance to breathe, take stock of things. Excuse me. The window closing is a help. I think it wasn't easy dealing with the window naturally, with all the questions around it. The uncertainty doesn't help the group, I don't think. That closing has given me peace of mind that we know where we are now, and we can crack on, and we've got a really talented squad. So the first game in the next chapter, I suppose, is against Chelsea, which I'm really looking forward to, and I know the players are.
Sure. And are you the type of manager who, when you're playing a big game, you like to exploit the other team's weaknesses in your tactics, or do you rather focus on what your team can do?
I think it's always the balance. I think you have to look at that. You've got certain things that will remain consistent in your approach to a game. Don't like changing too much when it comes to what we do. I think there has to be that consistent message to a team. You can't keep flipping game to game and tactically, but obviously there's certain aspects that we see in Chelsea where we feel we can take advantage of. I think that's just the nature of how you prepare for games, but trying to remain consistent with the approach, I suppose.
Sure. And then final question. For your players, obviously West London derby, do you have to tell them how important and how much it would mean to the fans to win this kind of game, or do they already know that off the bat? I
think naturally with some newer players coming into the building, maybe not be fully aware of it. Some of the younger ones potentially, but I think the vast majority of the squad, ones that have been here, certainly experienced players that are well tuned into what derby games look like and feel like. Yeah, we've alluded to it already, that type of game it will be and how special it is for fans, because I think it's a really important part of the game. I constantly say it, the game is about players and fans, and they'll be feeling it tomorrow and looking forward to tomorrow. And we need to get them engaged in the game. I think that's a really important part of it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're done. Oh, sorry, apologies.
Darren Hamilton, Sports News.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Keith. I just wanted to ask you about, you talked about the topsy-turvy start. You've got a difficult run of games coming up, 4 of the traditional Big 6 at home, and then 2 difficult London derbies away. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that run of games coming up and how it's going to impact you.
Yeah, amazing games. I think any game in the Premier League, like the last few games have shown us, they will all present challenges, different types of challenges, different systems, different levels of ability, naturally. It's the Premier League, there's going to be tough games, and say the traditional Big 6 hasn't really panned out in terms of where the league standings have been in certain seasons in recent years. So we will approach games in a fearless way. We will embrace every game looking to win it, been very, very respectful of the opposition that we've faced, having done our due diligence, but equally having a game plan looking to win every single game we go into. Thanks, pal.